Hi guys! In this video I'm going to talk about tight calves and the link to Achilles tendinopathy and whether there is a link, because I often see that people are being told, oh, it's your tight calves causing the Achilles pain, and then told to be stretching it, which is not always the best advice. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Maryke. I'm one of the physiotherapists from treatmyachilles.com, where you can get online physiotherapy assessment as well as treatment for your Achilles injuries. So have a look at the description of this video if you want a link to our website. Okay, so tight calves. Now, the first thing I want you to understand is that there are quite a few different reasons why calves can feel tight. And there's the perception of a stiff calf and that it feels tight and uncomfortable. And then there's a true tight calf that has less flexibility than what we ideally would want it to have. Now, reasons why so if we think of muscles and Achilles and the Achilles tendon that attaches to it, so the calf muscles, when they tighten up, they can pull on the Achilles tendon, and the idea is that some people say is that can cause the tendon to overstrain and cause Achilles tendinopathy. Now, the first thing to understand is that when we look at the research, there's very little evidence to support this. The main evidence points to people overusing their Achilles by doing too much exercise too often, and the Achilles tendon doesn't get time to recover from all the exercise, and then it causes injury. There's very little evidence to support that a tight calf or Achilles tendon is the reason for the Achilles tendinopathy. Now, but let's for one moment assume that it does, overly tight calf or Achilles tendon can cause Achilles tendinopathy. We assume that, or we just pretend that that could be the case. Now, what causes calf muscles to feel really tight? One is if you work them really hard. So if you do a hard exercise bout, that causes muscles to feel stiff and tight afterwards. And to be honest, even if you stretch them, they may feel looser for a while, but then they feel tight again. And that's because they need to recover from the exercise. And as soon as it's recovered from the exercise, then they will be more relaxed. Now, when you have Achilles tendinopathy and there's an injury to your tendon, that tendon attaches to the calf muscles. And whenever there's an injury somewhere in the vicinity of a muscle, that muscle tightens up. And we talk about it having increased tone. So it's how active the muscles are keeping it. So it's not the same as a cramp that's seriously painful. It's just, it feels tighter and more contracted than what it should be. And that's quite normal for any injury to cause that sensation. And in my experience, that sensation remains until the injury is better. So even if you did stretches, they may feel good while you're doing them, and they may feel that it releases it for an hour or so, but then you'll find it's tight again, you've got to stretch again. Now, for some injuries, that's absolutely fine to do because it doesn't make it worse. But when it comes to Achilles and tendon injuries, stretching the tendon can actually make it more irritated, because irritable tendons does not take kindly to being stretched. So we get two types of Achilles tendinopathy. You get the insertional type, where it inserts into the heel, into your heel bone, and then we've got the mid portion, where it's just, if I can get my foot up this high. So insertional type, right in there. Mid portion is more in this part of the tendon. Now, mid portion Achilles tendinopathy is not always as sensitive to stretching, but often stretching, even while it feels good doing it, can make it ache more later on. But the insertional type is super sensitive to being stretched, because it is mainly caused because of a compression force that was too high when the tendon came over the heel bone. Now, if you do a typical runner stretch or something, you stretch that even harder on that heel bone, and you cause more compression, which causes more pain. So you can see how doing stretches for Achilles tendinopathy, because your calf feels tight, can actually cause more pain and more injury. So what can you do? Because I realized that tight calves can be really, really uncomfortable. The first thing is that you need to figure out your rehab exercises, because as you get the right rehab for this and the right advice and the injury heals, your calves will naturally start to not feel as tight. But this can take a few weeks. So what can you do in the meantime? Foam rolling can be a good option, unless you go and really roll the parts that's painful. So when you do foam rolling, it's got to be comfortably uncomfortable, and it shouldn't be on that part of the tendon that's really sensitive, because nailing that sensitive part will just make it more sensitive. Another option that works really well is using a massage gun. You get a variety of types, and I'm not sure that there's any difference between the different types really. That can work really well, but again, you don't want to go hammer that painful part that's actively injured. You want to go around it. So we think of the muscle belly, the nice fleshy bits. That should be okay to do with a massage gun. And also you can go for a massage, but again, don't let them dig into the painful tendon. Let them release the stuff around it, the muscles that can pull on it, and it will give you some relief. Something else that can be useful for muscle tension and reducing muscles, the tone in the muscle, is dry needling. So if you don't mind acupuncture or needles, that can be quite useful. And I used to find in practice that the effect of dry needling used to last a little bit longer than if you just did massage on its own. But again, it's not something that's going to make your tendon heal more quickly. It will just make your muscles feel more comfortable. So to summarize, there's very little evidence that tight calves cause Achilles tendinopathy. In my experience, that tightness disappears as the tendon heals, because then that injured part is not irritating the muscle anymore. It's not a good idea to stretch your calf muscles and Achilles tendon when they are injured, when the Achilles is injured, because it often makes it feel worse. And it's part of the reason of why, especially insertional Achilles tendinopathy starts, is overstretching. If you wanted a remedy for it, massaging it, massage gun, foam roller, or dry needling, but not on the painful bits in the fleshy bit where it's not injured. Brilliant. Let me know if you've got any questions, and if you need more help with your Achilles injury, you're welcome to consult one of us via video call. The link to the website is in the description of this video. Take care.